All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into one of the most fundamental concepts in Buddhist philosophy, conditioned origination.
Yeah, and you guys really threw us a curveball with this one. I mean, some seriously dense academic texts on this topic. But hey, that's what deep dives are all about, right?
Absolutely. It's clear you're ready to go beyond the Buddhism 101 stuff, so we're going to break it down. Think of us like, I don't know, your Sherpas through the Himalayas of Buddhist thought. We're going to make sure you don't get altitude sickness.
I like that analogy. And without getting bogged down in the jargon, we're going to help you grasp how this idea works, especially its connection to things like rebirth and karma.
Right. Because, like, when you really get into it, conditioned origination challenges some pretty fundamental assumptions we often have about how the world works.
Yeah, like the idea that things exist independently,
Yeah.
that we're all just kind of floating around in this random universe.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like a kind of like that aha moment when you realize, oh, wait, everything is actually interconnected. Like there's this constant flow of cause and effect, this kind of cosmic domino effect.
And that's really what conditioned origination is all about, right? This
Okay.
idea that everything arises from a chain of causes and effects.
No creator deity, no Big Bang, just this constant cycle of interdependent origination. It's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it. You know, I remember when I first encountered this concept, it totally shifted my perspective. Suddenly, things that seemed totally random or disconnected started to make a lot more sense.
Totally. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here, yeah? We're talking about the 12 links of conditioned origination. And I know these can seem kind of abstract at first.
Well, yeah, they can feel a bit like, what's the word? Like a shopping list or something. Just a bunch of terms strung together. But we're going to try to bring them to life a bit more, make them relatable, you know?
Absolutely. So starting with the first link, ignorance. Now, we're not talking about a lack of intelligence here.
No, definitely not.
It's more about a fundamental misunderstanding of the true nature of ourselves and the world around us. Like, we often cling to this idea of a permanent self, when in reality, everything is in constant flux.
Yeah, like the idea that I am a separate entity from everything else, that there's this solid me that exists independently. But that's not really the case, is it?
Nope. And that misunderstanding, that ignorance, becomes the fertile ground for the second link, karmic formations, which are basically actions driven by that distorted view.
So if I'm understanding this right, it's like saying that our actions aren't just isolated events, but they're shaped by our understanding or lack thereof of reality.
Precisely. And those actions, those karmic formations, create the conditions for the third link, consciousness. Now, this isn't your everyday waking consciousness.
Like I'm aware that I'm sitting here having this conversation consciousness.
Right. It's more like a seed that carries the potential for a new life,
Yeah.
shaped by those previous karmic influences.
Okay, so we're talking about the very beginning of a new existence here. It's almost like a blueprint being drawn up based on like the karma we've accumulated in previous lives.
That's a great way to visualize it. Now, this blueprint starts to take shape with the fourth link, individual existence. This is where those five aggregates form: feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness all come together to form, a unique individual within a specific realm of existence.
So, from a seed of potential, we now have a distinct being emerging within a particular world. It's pretty wild how each link builds upon the one before it, creating kind of momentum, you know?
It's like this intricate chain reaction. And with this individual existence comes the fifth link, the six senses:
Yeah.
sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and then mental awareness. And these become like the doorways through which we experience the world around us.
It's like we're suddenly equipped with this like toolkit to interact with and perceive reality, right? But this interaction, of course, leads to the sixth link, contact, the point where our senses meet their objects.
Think of it as like where our inner world collides with the outer world, creating an experience. Like your eyes seeing a beautiful sunset or your ears hearing a piece of music that's contact.
And that contact immediately triggers the seventh link, feeling, which is our emotional response to that experience. It could be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral.
It's how we color our perception of the world. Right?
Yeah.
We add our own subjective spin to the raw data.
And this is where things start to get a little, well, tricky, right? Because these feelings, especially the pleasant ones, can lead to the eighth link, craving, the desire for more of what feels good, and the aversion to anything that feels bad.
Exactly. And craving, it's not just limited to sensory pleasures either. It can also manifest as like a craving for existence itself, for recognition, or even non-existence. It's a really powerful force that keeps this whole wheel of conditioned origination spinning.
It's like we get a taste of something we like and we want more and more of it, or we experience something unpleasant and we try to avoid it at all costs. But that wanting, that aversion, just intensifies the whole cycle.
Yeah, and that intensity leads to the ninth link, grasping, which is
Yeah.
essentially our attempt to, cling to, control, or possess the objects of our craving. We try to hold on tight to what we desire and push away what we fear.
So we go from simply experiencing a feeling to actively trying to manipulate our reality to get what we want. This sounds like the root of so much suffering.
It is, because grasping, it reinforces this illusion of a separate, independent self that needs to, secure its own happiness and avoid pain at all costs.
And that illusion, fueled by grasping, leads to the 10th link, karmic existence, which is basically the accumulation of actions driven by that craving and clinging. These actions, in turn, plant the seeds for future experiences.
It's like we're constantly writing the script for our next life based on our current patterns of craving and grasping.
And that brings us to the 11th link, birth. The arising of a new existence within a specific realm shaped by those karmic seeds that we've sown.
It's the culmination of all the previous links, the manifestation of those karmic potentials in a new form. It's like the curtain rising on a new act in the play of existence.
And of course, this new existence inevitably leads to the 12th and final link, aging and death, the natural conclusion of every life within this cycle of samsara.
But death, as we've seen, it's not an end point, It's simply a transition, a letting go of one form as the potential for a new existence emerges, shaped, of course, by that whole chain of conditioned origination.
Wow, I can already see how understanding these 12 links can offer a really profound new perspective on life, death, and everything in between. But there's a twist, right? Our sources actually present two different ways of interpreting how these links play out across lifetimes.
That's right. One view, held by the Sarvastivadin school, proposes a 3-lifetime model, while the Yogacara school presents a 2-lifetime system. And both offer really fascinating insights into the nuances of conditioned origination.
Well, you've definitely piqued my curiosity. I'm eager to unpack these different interpretations in our next segment and see how they deepen our understanding of this whole process.
Sounds like a plan. So we've laid out those 12 links of conditioned origination. Now let's dive into those different interpretations of how these links actually unfold across lifetimes. We'll start with the Sarvastivadin's 3-lifetime model.
Okay, 3 lifetimes. Sounds a little complicated.
It is. It really gets to the heart of some pretty interesting questions about the nature of consciousness and causality. Imagine a timeline stretching across 3 lifetimes: past, present, and future.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Got my timeline right here.
Perfect.
Okay.
So according to this model, the first 2 links, those being ignorance and karmic formations, they arise from actions in a past life. So basically, those actions, driven by ignorance, set the stage for the arising of consciousness in the present life.
So it's like saying my consciousness right now is like a product of actions I took in a previous life. That's a pretty wild thought.
It is, right. It raises all sorts of questions about the continuity of consciousness across lifetimes. But here's where things get even more interesting. The actions we perform in this present life, driven by the links from individual existence to feeling, well, those become the cause of birth in a future life.
Hold on. So just to make sure I'm following it, you're saying that my experiences in this life, shaped by those 12 links, are already planting the seeds for my next birth.
That's exactly it. The Sarvastivadin system suggests that there are 2 distinct causal moments within this 3-lifetime cycle. So you have the past life influencing the present, and the present life shaping the future.
Wow, okay, that's a lot to process. I can already see how this model might raise some questions about, free will. If my present life is shaped by past karma and my actions now are determining my future birth, where does choice even come in?
That's a big question for sure. And it's definitely one we're going to explore more deeply as we move through this deep dive. But before we get there, let's turn our attention to the Yogacara school's 2-lifetime model, which offers a different perspective on how all of this unfolds.
Hit me with it. How does the Yogacara system fit those 12 links into a 2-lifetime framework?
Well, the Yogacara approach simplifies things a bit by placing all 12 links within 2 lifetimes. But the key difference really lies in how they view consciousness.
Right, I remember you mentioned that the Yogacara see consciousness as a cause, not a result.
Exactly. Instead of being a product of past actions, consciousness, in the context of rebirth, is seen as part of the seed that generates future experiences.
So the consciousness I'm experiencing right now, it isn't a consequence of my past life, but rather a contributing factor to my future life. That's a pretty radical shift in perspective.
It is. And this idea is closely connected to another fascinating concept in Yogacara thought, the notion of seeds, or sometimes they're called latent impressions.
Seeds. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these seeds. How do they like work within this conditioned origination framework?
Well, think of these seeds as like potent bundles of karmic energy, carrying the blueprints for our future experiences. Every action we take, every thought we have, every intention we form, it plants a seed in the fertile ground of our minds.
So it's like we're constantly sowing these seeds that have the potential to sprout and like shape our reality.
That's a great way to put it. But here's the thing. Not all seeds sprout immediately. Some remain dormant for lifetimes, waiting for the right conditions to ripen.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful image. So our minds are like a vast garden filled with these karmic seeds, and the conditions of our lives determine which ones blossom and bear fruit.
You got it. Now, to really understand how these seeds play out within this two-lifetime model, the Yogacara, they grouped the 12 links into 4 distinct sets: projecting, projected, actualizing, and actualized.
Okay, this sounds pretty technical. Can you break them down for me?
Sure. So the projecting set includes ignorance, karmic formations, and consciousness. And that belongs to the initial lifetime. So this set, it plants the initial seeds that hold the potential for future experiences, like, creating the blueprint for the next life.
Okay, that makes sense. So what about the projected set?
Well, the projected set, which includes individual existence, the 6 senses, contact, and feeling that manifests in the subsequent lifetime, arising from those seeds planted in the previous life. So think of it as those seeds, like sprouting and blossoming, shaping our experiences in this new life.
So the way I perceive the world, my feelings, my reactions, all stem from those karmic seeds planted in a previous life.
Precisely. And that brings us to the actualizing set: desire, grasping, and karmic existence, which also occurs in this second lifetime.
So, based on our experiences in the second life, shaped by those seeds, we then start planting new seeds that will shape future lives.
Exactly. Our reactions to our experiences, fueled by desire and grasping, create new karmic seeds, influencing, future rebirths. It's like we're both inheriting a garden and actively cultivating it at the same time.
This is where the concept of responsibility starts to really come into focus, wouldn't you say? Even though we're influenced by past karma, we're also actively shaping our future through our choices and actions.
You got it. That's a key insight. And those choices, those actions, they ultimately lead to the actualized set: birth, old age, and death, which represents the ripening of those karmic seeds, culminating in the arising and passing away of another life.
It's a fascinating cycle, and I can really see how this model, with its emphasis on seeds and the two-lifetime framework, really paints a vivid picture of how our actions have consequences that, like, ripple across lifetimes.
And it's not just about consequences. It's about understanding this intricate web of causes and conditions that shape our reality, and how we can, skillfully navigate this web to cultivate a more awakened way of being.
It sounds like the Yogacara perspective offers a really powerful lens for understanding not only how we got here, but also how we can create a more positive future, both for ourselves and for all beings.
Exactly. And this understanding has some pretty profound implications for how we view the world, the self, and even the very notion of a creator.
This deep dive into conditioned origination has been, I don't know, it's been really thought-provoking. We've explored those 12 links, unpacked 2 different interpretations of how it all plays out across lifetimes. And I mean, it's clear this concept has some pretty major implications for how we understand, like, ourselves and the world.
For sure, it's a powerful framework.
Yeah.
And as you get deeper into Buddhist thought, you'll find that conditioned origination, it's kind of a key that unlocks a lot of doors, offers insights into everything from ethics to, the very nature of reality.
It's amazing how this one concept can touch upon so many aspects of human experience. But before we wrap things up, there's one question that's been kind of nagging at me. We've talked about karma, how those karmic seeds shape our future. But if everything is interconnected, like arises from prior causes, where does free will even fit in? Do we actually have any, I don't know, any real choice in how our lives unfold?
Yeah, the million-dollar question.
I mean,
It's one that's puzzled philosophers for, well, a long time. And it's particularly relevant when we're talking about something like conditioned origination.
Yeah, I have to admit it's a bit of a head-scratcher. If my present life is shaped by past karma and my actions now are planting seeds for the future, I feel, I don't know, it feels like I'm trapped in this predetermined loop. Where's the room for agency? For, like, making choices that actually matter?
It's a valid concern, and the Buddhist perspective on this is actually quite nuanced. It's not denying the influence of the past, but also emphasizes the power of the present moment.
So it's not about saying we have complete control over everything that happens, but rather recognizing that we still have the ability to choose how we, I don't know, how we respond to those experiences.
Precisely. Think of it like this. We might inherit a garden with certain plants already growing, some healthy, some maybe not so much. But we still have the freedom to choose which plants we want to nurture, how we tend the soil, what new seeds we want to plant.
That's a great analogy. It helps to reframe this whole idea of karma. It's not about being punished or rewarded for past deeds. It's about understanding the conditions we've inherited and then skillfully working with them.
Exactly. Conditioned origination shows us that our actions, yeah, they have consequences, but it also highlights the incredible potential we have to actually shape our future experiences through wise choices and actions.
So it's not a deterministic system that's trapping us, but a framework that empowers us to make choices that align with our values, with our aspirations.
You got it. It encourages us to take responsibility for our actions, knowing that they ripple outwards, affecting not only ourselves but the world around us. But it also reminds us that, hey, we're not bound by the past. We can always choose to cultivate those wholesome qualities, to act with kindness, with compassion, to plant seeds that are going to bear fruit for ourselves and, well, for everyone.
It sounds like the key here is cultivating a deep understanding of those 12 links, recognizing how they're operating in our own lives, and then making, conscious choices to break free from those unskillful patterns.
That's really the heart of it. Conditioned origination, it isn't just a philosophical concept. It's a practical guide for living a more awakened life.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a whole new perspective on Buddhist thought. I have to say, I'm feeling pretty inspired to explore these ideas further and see how I can apply them in my own life.
That's great. Remember, this journey of understanding, it's an ongoing process. And the beauty of these Buddhist teachings is that they invite us to continuously explore, to question, to deepen our insights through practice and reflection.
Well, on that note, a huge thank you to you for guiding us through this intricate and illuminating world of Buddhist philosophy. I've learned a ton, and I'm sure our listeners have too.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about this stuff.
And to everyone listening, keep those minds curious and those questions coming. Until next time, happy pondering.